can't believe that anybody feels the way we do about our girls and all those courts we're traveling to. And all the roads we drive, all the states we see, we've been volleyball'd all so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball.
Chapter 23. This is Volleyball'd, the most intense, the most controversial, the most inflammatory parent podcast out there in the volleyball world.
Is it?
No, not really. It's kind of fun, I guess.
I don't like being controversial.
Yeah, we talk with a lot of parents whenever they hear the podcast, and they were really excited about, hey, when are you going to get into tryout season? I'm like, it's coming, because for those of you who have all finished up nationals, or those of you whose season came to an end in April, we've all been waiting and dreading this time period. For those of us in the state of Georgia, according to SRVA rules, tryouts could begin on July 6th. They are underway. And let's start right there. We'll keep this one short and sweet and talk a little bit about this stuff, because you and I were fortunate that our daughters only had to go to one. And in the case of at least our older daughter, she'd played up and she went right back to the team that she was on this year. And so at least that reduced some of the stress that we're used to dealing with and that we feel for a lot of parents out there.
Yeah, first time in 7 years that I didn't walk into a gym at tryouts like with my heart in my chest, just beating out of it, terrified of what was going to happen next. It was nice.
It was actually kind of fun this time around. And this time around, as kind of expected, the girls move around as we get into the older age groups. And because the girls had played 16s last year, we had about, I think out of our 12 players, 11 players, we had 7 that moved on and moved up to 17s. And so we had to fill roster spots. There were some talented girls that came from our 15s team, but this time around, we ended up having parents and players that we had played with as far back as 12 and 13 years old that were reaching out to us and saying, hey, do y'all have spots available? And it really came together. And as you said, it was almost celebratory in the gym of getting these families back together, because we've all followed each other, respect each other, love one another. And it was really cool, actually.
A lot of hugs. It was a lot of hugs. It was like a reunion. It felt really good. So we are so happy with the team she landed on, and it's going to be just like a super phenomenal year. Very excited.
So let's move over to our younger daughter, because she was in the position of having played 10-1, 11-1 at the bigger club here in town, A5. And we had talked about how she was going to move positions, and she was going to become, she was going to try out basically as an outside hitter, as a pin. And she had to play middle last year because of some of our, she grew 3 inches between tryouts and the season, and they're like, hey, you're tall, do this. But so we weren't really sure out, and the fact that she ended up landing on 12-2 in a position that we were hoping, that was a little bit of a relief for both of us.
Oh yeah, because you don't know. I mean, there's a lot of 12s teams and a lot of new girls walk in the gym, and a lot of coaches like eyebrows raise immediately when they see height. And she's growing, but she's not like the tallest on the court right now, and there's a lot of them out there, and it's just such a factor at that age group. And we actually overheard someone at the tryout yesterday. New girl, new family, never seen him before in my life. Hopefully I never see him again. Don't know anything about this family, but we heard the mom say, don't worry, honey, you're going to get on a team because you can't coach height. And I just wanted to smack her upside the head. What you can't coach is a mom who thinks that way. I'm sorry. That was just a ridiculous thing to say to an 11-year-old, almost 12-year-old. Come on. Come on.
I had put this in one of the Facebook message groups, and I believe it was Volleyball Moms of Georgia. And shout out to that entire group. We'll talk a little bit more about tryouts as we get into this. But one of the things I asked about were red flags going into tryouts. and one parent pointed out gossiping parents. Now, the early age groups, not quite as bad. As they get older, it gets more intense. And so to me, I think part of this is you're trying to find not just, and there's a variety of factors. It's the right club. It's the right coach. It's the right amount of practice time. Do they believe in player development? Do they believe in team development? And those are two different things. We can talk about that in a little bit. But part of what you want is, let me not be on a team, if I'm fortunate enough to make one, where within a month, the parents and some of the players want to kill each other.
Well, I mean, yeah, you get put on these teams. You have a very short duration of time to meet the coach, if you don't already know them, to meet the coach, kind of meet the other parents maybe a little, or just hug the ones you already know. Some of the girls are ecstatic because they've just made their dream team. Other girls are kind of neutral because they're not sure about where they are or who's are standing around them. And then there's like the girls who are sobbing because they didn't make the team they wanted. They're on this team and you're like the losers that they're stuck with, which is a ridiculous way to think, but that's how people think sometimes. So it's an impossible situation to navigate from a, just interpersonal level where you're trying to like say the right thing and do the right thing, but emotions are high and very raw. And our daughter, who was actually so excited because this was the team she wanted to make, still, as we're taking pictures right after, I'm like, oh, go take a picture with your coach. And she's like, no, I can't take a picture right now. And I'm like, why? She goes like, just can't take a picture. And she bit my head off and I didn't know where it came from. And then I went closer. I was like, what is going on? And she goes, I'm just really sad that my team from last year's not all together again. And just like broke down sobbing because, she saw a couple over here on this court and a couple on this court. And she has some with her on her court. And it just was like the end finally actually hit her. And I just gave her one of those, oh, sweet baby.
Well, and I think this was important when we brought up with some of the other parents who had not had this kind of experience. We brought up our older daughter was a 10-1 player that went to 11-4 and then jumped right back up. It's one of those where you think it's the end of the world when it happens when they're young. They move around so much. They get so much taller. They start getting so much better. And so just because you played on a 10-1 team and you haven't hit your growth spurt yet does not mean it's the end of the world. Just because there's a handful of other girls that showed up full grown already at 12 years old doesn't mean that you're not going to catch and pass them. And so I think that's another important factor. But what I also wanted to bring up with you, and as we continue Volleyball'd, chapter 23, it's called a reset in the industry. I'm now doing resets within the podcast.
The industry.
I'm
raising my nose right now because it's the industry.
Well, listen, she's got the nicer mic and you've got the nicer chair and everything else. I'm like hunched over trying to take care of this thing. One of the other aspects that was brought up by some of the parents out there was the talk about what are the rules. And the SRVA rules are that you have until September 1st. This was a change that we went through, about 3 years ago, when the rules changed to basically fit in a similar way to what Texas is doing. Remember, we used to try out in November, and you had to be like immediately on a team. They moved back our tryouts about 3 years ago with the intention that if you want to try out at multiple clubs, you can. It's going to cost you, but that you don't have to be solidified with a team until September 1st. And so you've even been on the phone with people that are asking you, hey, I didn't like my placement. What if I transfer to another club? What if I try out with an older team? And so, yes, you're still going to have to pay the fee. And if you walked out if it's a club that wanted a fee up front, you're not getting that back. But you are not with a team officially until September 1st when it comes to the state of Georgia.
Yeah, it's like the black market of club volleyball that's happening now. Most tryouts have occurred now, at least in the state of Georgia. There's makeup tryouts still coming for some age groups and whatnot at different clubs. But now coaches are assessing what they have. And if they're a couple pins short or they need a libero, they're posting almost like advertisements on these Facebook groups trying to get their rosters finalized. So if you have not found your volleyball home, because you didn't like the team you were placed on, you're not sure about the club you're at, or maybe you didn't make a team because you tried out at the wrong place, and there's a lot of other great volleyball out there for you. Pay attention to these groups, because there's a lot of coaches still looking for teams and looking for good players. So if you can find somewhere where you don't have to drive 2.5 hours for your kid to play volleyball, there's still a lot of opportunity out there.
Or maybe you made a team and they have 14 players on the roster. That's another concern. Is it too big? What if you have a player that needs more development? Is that going to be problematic for you? Even a great program, and I saw this from Volleyball Moms, just the national one. Even a great program like Texas Advantage, TAV, they were advertising leading up to tryouts, hey, we need another pin and we need another setter. And to know how much success that program has, yet they're putting it out there. We're looking for this. I really encourage parents out there, pay attention to the forums. There are going to be teams, whether they refer to it as a callback or an additional tryout, they're going to continue to keep looking for players. And quite honestly, the grass isn't always greener. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. We have, with our older team, we have some parents that are taking the shot with us because they saw what happened with our daughter and a couple of our friends where it worked out. The coaching was really good. We had really great results. And so they decided to get a piece of that. It's not always the case. We talked about, we know some people that have taken a shot somewhere else and then have decided after a year, I'm going back to my previous club because it didn't work out.
Yeah, you got to just do what's right for you. But you can experiment. Like, it's not the end of the world. You don't have to. It's not like a career, right, where you have to be at the same place the entire time to get the retirement fund. Like, you can do what you need to do and find the home that you need to find. And I think we've seen that more and more because we frankly did leave a club to go try something new. So now we see how it works in other places. And, you know, like Carla said, we had success. My kid is holding a giant gold trophy in a lot of pictures on Instagram right now. And it was freaking awesome. And we, you know, I don't want to say we proved a point. That wasn't the idea behind any of it. But for her, we validated a decision. Like, we validated the change that happened last year that was so hard, because change is so hard to navigate when, for these girls, their club is their second home and where they, you know, meet their best friends. Leaving that is tough. But we found kind of, I guess, the silver lining at the end of the road. And now we have no problem encouraging people to try new things. Well,
I do envy the parents out there, and we advocate for it. I've talked about it on this podcast. If you are the term club hopping, I don't have a problem with that, because every year is a different scenario. And I think that that's an industry term that's meant for you to just sit on your hands and not look for another scenario. And so, again, I envy the parents that have gotten used to it, because when you've been at the same club, in the case of our oldest daughter, 8 years old all the way until her 15th season, leaving was like trying to get a tattoo removed. You know, there was this feeling of angst, or that she somehow like cheated a relationship. And even though she knew that it was no longer they're giving me love, I'm giving them love, it was, am I being the bad player for leaving a club, even though I don't believe that they may have my very best interest in mind? They have my interest in mind, maybe not my very best. And so I guess I appreciate the fact that some parents and some players are more than comfortable, because they haven't been somewhere for so long, that they just say, okay, next year's a new scenario.
Yeah, so make the call to the club director, explore new options, see what's best for your kid, and don't assume that what one coach or what one club has assessed your daughter at is their ultimate value or worth, or son, excuse me. This is not just a girl sport. You know what I'm saying? Don't let one person or one club define be at the final statement of your daughter or son's career.
Well, we had the scenario with some good friends of ours. They were moved to a different team. They were not expecting it. They were very upset about it. And it took them about 24 hours. And by the time we spoke to them again, the mom involved said, "I'm not going to let the club dictate how my daughter feels about herself." And that was very encouraging to hear. They had a rough 24 hours, and then it was the bounce back of, hey, wait a minute, let's be sure that we're empowered in this scenario.
Because this will continue throughout life, right? Like if you go to college to play and you get replaced by another player, you are not a lesser human being or a lesser person because the coach brought in another player to replace you. Like you can't think about life that way. And when you are in your 30s and you are in your career in a job and you get laid off, it's not because you're a bad human. It's because things happen. Like you have to learn. These are life lessons that unfortunately these kids have to learn now. Like while they're under the shelter of adult and parent protection, they can learn them now so that they're ready for those moments later in life. And it's a huge resilient moment that they can kind of carry with them as they enter adulthood.
I really want to bring up the 90s because you and I were there.
Of course you want to bring up the 90s. And cue the soundtrack for, I don't know, live Soundgarden. What's he going to play in the background of this segment of the show?
I'm going to have Gin Blossom's New
Nirvana.
Miserable Experience in the background of this one. No, I bring up the 90s because during the tech boom, the fastest way to grow at that time period was you move from one firm to the next. Now, obviously, the market changed, and that's what it was. But in the club world, in volleyball, you will have club directors that if they decide to give you a call, they will try and act like in some way your kid is running from a challenge. And then they'll do if you start right now, then your kid will never face challenges in their life, and they'll never be able to step up to that. That is BS, okay? I look at it as the 90s mentality of the tech boom of if this one fits you, great. If you're happy, awesome. More power to you. If it doesn't, go get the next one. Or if you decide you want to try out at a handful of different places and maybe number 1 wasn't exactly it and 2 is okay, 3 might be awesome, what's the problem? You went and did 3 options. It's like a marriage, okay? If you only dated one person, you don't know anything different. My wife only dated one person. I'm very fortunate. But I would encourage you to date a few people.
So he thinks.
I think, again, we're at that point, and September 1st is the date. Now, my kids are locked in. We're not going anywhere. But to look at all the forums where parents are talking, and they should be, about the number of players, what are they looking for, what are the coaches, I think one of the other aspects that we haven't really gotten into this podcast is how there are some clubs that look at it as when you come in, you should be a close to finished product. Whereas other clubs realize, hey, you're a young player at this, or you're relatively new to club, we have to develop you. And there is a difference in team development in terms of you're here, you're a finished product, or you're close to it, I just have to have you practice. And player development, which is we need to get you as many reps so that you get better over the course of the season. Those are two different mentalities in the club world right now.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, listen, I'm all about spending money on the one-on-ones and the groups and the training and all of the extra stuff. We've been part of that for a very long time. But find a coach who'll work with you during practice as well. Like if you're practicing 3 times a week and then you're still being asked to be in the gym another 3 times a week to get better, something's wrong. Like you should be able to get better just working with good coaching on a practice basis with a little bit of supplemental work here and there.
And this is something that we've learned over the past couple of years. There is a difference at different clubs between the full-time and the part-time. A lot of, the clubs do not have 20 full-time coaches. That's not the way it works. So what they'll have is a club director, they'll have a handful of other full-time coaches that run everything, and then the list of part-time, especially when it comes to the larger club. What we have found is that when you have a coach, maybe they're an assistant director, maybe they handle some of the other responsibilities at the club, if they're full-time or close to it, they seem to commit more time than the part-time. And again, if I'm a part-time employee, I am not making it a point to go crazy to I'm managing my team. I'm not looking to develop my team as much. I think
the ball out.
Roll the ball out.
Call a
let's go win.
timeout. That's right.
Yeah, and I think that's a factor that we didn't know about for the longest time in this. And over the last couple of years, we've now seen the difference. And it answers the question, why do some coaches show up right before practice, but then some are there an hour before practice?
Yeah, and parents, this is public service announcement to you. If your kid was the best one on your team last year by a mile and you didn't make a team at the club or dropped several teams, the problem might be you. Just know, as parents, these
true.
coaches, even across different clubs, they all know each other and they all talk. And so if one coach calls another coach and asks like, hey, what do you know about this player? If you're the parent problem, the first thing out of their mouth is going to be, oh, that mom's a problem. Oh, that dad. I will never have that player on my team again. Like, you gotta, I'm not saying you can't ever say anything if there's something going really wrong with what's happening with your kid, but sometimes you just got to let the team play and let the coach and just be the parent on the sidelines. And we've seen people overstep that boundary time and time again.
Well, there is a difference between I'm helping my child learn to advocate for themselves versus I'm the parent that complains about everything. Or, you know, I happen to have played college ball, so I know a thing or two about this. Like, you played tennis or football or baseball. You don't know what's going on here. I think that is something that we have seen play out where you ask a coach, like, hey, that's a pretty talented player, and they just kind of give you a look of, it's not worth it. Like, it's just not worth dealing with that. And it creates where by the time you get into the season, everybody plays nice early on. Everybody's like, hey, we're a good team. Everybody's fun. Then when players aren't playing or somebody's struggling and somebody else is picking up the playing time, that's when things start to become a real problem. And again, it's not like it's a rarity. It does happen at a lot of places, but we were fortunate this year. We had really defined roles with both the younger team and the older team, and we really didn't run into that. And so I'm just crossing my fingers that plays out over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and it does come back to bite you because you think you're on your high horse now, but later you might be calling a parent asking if their club has a team, and you might want that parent to pick up that phone call. So don't burn bridges now. Like, I've just, some of the things that I've seen adults say to other adults in the volleyball world is fascinating.
And by the way, here's another one too. And this is something that I read in one of the forums when I had posted looking for red flags. If you are defining yourself by your child's level of volleyball, take it down a notch.
Oh my gosh.
Take it down a notch, please. I'm like, I get it. Life hasn't gone all that great for you, but you know, the kid's a ones player. And so you're like, oh, my kid's a ones player. They're the greatest thing. Settle down. Okay. I was like, just take it a little bit easy.
This happens all the time. I'm a vice president of my company, and I have been talked to like I'm a second grader because I'm not on the same team. And I'm sorry. Like, grow up. Grow up. Learn how to be an adult human being for a change. It just trickles right down to your kid, and then your kid's a jerk. And like, just don't do it. Just don't do it.
This is the part where I would say take us out, but I think that was perfect. All right, talk to you next time.
Today is gonna be the day that we run out of cash. Watching every serve and kill, it's a Tony smash. By now you should have somehow realized what we've lost. Our free time's gone, it's all for volleyball at any cost. I tend to believe that anybody feels the way we do about our girls and all those courts we're traveling to, and all the roads we drive, all the states we see. We've been volleyball'd so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball. entrance fees for tournaments our girls already in. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but we're at the bar, drinking through the overwhelm. No life beyond this far. Don't believe that anybody feels the way we do about the nets and all the chaos we're stuck into, and all the roads we drive, all the states you see. We've been volleyballed, oh, so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. The hotel nights, the drinks, they keep us finding a way to cope with all this endless grind. Oh, we're trapped, no life outside. And all the roads we drive, all the states we see. We've been volleyballed, oh, so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball. Today was gonna be the day, but we're still here. Volleyball, oh volleyball. I don't believe that anybody